On Monday, a Substack post from a research firm most people had never heard of crashed the Dow 800 points. On Tuesday, Meta signed a $60 billion deal to buy even more AI chips. That is the defining contradiction of this moment. The market cannot decide whether artificial intelligence will save the economy or destroy it. And today, it tried to do both. We've also got Trump publicly clashing with his top general over attacking Iran, another arrest in the Epstein investigation, and the State of the Union happening tonight. It's Tuesday, February 24th. Let's go.
Okay, so a blog post crashed the stock market. That sounds absurd. What actually happened?
So there's a firm called Citrini Research, small outfit focused on what they call transformative megatrends. On Sunday, they published a post on Substack titled The 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis. It's written as a fictional dispatch from June 2028, looking back at how AI agents destroyed the economy. And the thesis is genuinely chilling. It doesn't argue that AI will fail. It argues that AI will succeed, and that's exactly what makes it dangerous.
Wait, the bearish case is that AI works too well?
Exactly. Most AI skeptics say the bubble will pop because the technology doesn't deliver. Citrini flips that. They say AI agents will get so capable that they eliminate white-collar jobs at a pace the economy can't absorb. Not just coders, financial analysts, customer support, marketing teams, paralegals. Their scenario has unemployment hitting 10.2% by 2028, and the S&P 500 crashing 38% from its peak.
And the mechanism they describe, it's not a normal recession, right?
No, they call it a feedback loop with no natural break. Here's the chain. AI agents replace white-collar workers. Those workers account for about 10% of the US workforce, but 50% of consumer spending. When their wallets close, demand drops. Companies respond to weaker demand by, you guessed it, investing in more AI and laying off more humans. Meanwhile, displaced coders and analysts can't just retrain because AI is already capable of the jobs they'd retrain into. The old playbook of new technology creates new jobs breaks down when the new technology is a general intelligence.
And the report goes further than just jobs. It hits mortgages, private credit, the whole chain.
It does. The scenario imagines white-collar workers defaulting on mortgages they took out based on salaries they no longer earn. Private credit firms that structured billion-dollar loans around predictable software company revenues suddenly find those revenues have evaporated because AI agents did the job for free. They coined a term, ghost GDP, where the economy technically grows because AI output is counted, but actual human economic participation is collapsing. Michael Burry, the Big Short investor, shared the report and wrote, "And you think I'm bearish."
Michael Burry, the guy who bet against the housing market in 2008?
The same. When he amplified it, markets paid attention. Monday saw the Dow drop over 800 points. Software stocks got hammered. AppLovin, Asana, DocuSign, Scala, all down sharply. Companies specifically named in the report, Uber, DoorDash, MasterCard, American Express, lost between 4 and 6% each. The S&P 500 fell over 1% and went negative for the year. Investors were spooked.
And then, literally the next day, Meta does the exact opposite of panicking.
Tuesday morning, Meta announces a deal with AMD worth up to $60 billion over 5 years. 6 gigawatts of AMD's new Instinct GPUs for AI data centers, starting with the MI450 later this year. And here's the kicker. The deal includes a warrant for Meta to buy 160 million shares of AMD. That's roughly 10% of the entire company. If Meta executes those warrants, it would become one of AMD's largest shareholders.
60 billion and 10% of a chip company. That's not a purchase order. That's a strategic partnership.
It is. And it comes just 1 week after Meta committed to deploying millions of NVIDIA GPUs. So Meta is now locking in both of the world's top AI chip suppliers simultaneously. AMD's stock jumped 7%. Lisa Su, AMD's CEO, called it one of the most transformational deals in the company's history. NVIDIA still controls about 90% of the AI chip market, but this deal makes AMD a real number 2, with a guaranteed customer spending $135 billion in AI capital expenditure this year alone.
So Wall Street panics about AI on Monday and then pours $60 billion more into it on Tuesday. What are we supposed to make of that?
Honestly, both things can be true. The Citrini scenario is clearly labelled as speculation, a thought experiment, not a prediction, but the fear it captures is real. We're in a moment where the companies building AI have never been more committed, and the people who might be displaced by it have never been more anxious. That tension is going to define this decade. Markets rebounded Tuesday, but the questions Citrini raised aren't going away. This is the first time a hypothetical blog post has moved billions of dollars in a single trading day. That tells you how raw the nerves are.
All right, let's shift to something that could move more than markets. What's happening with Iran?
President Trump is in an open dispute with his own top military commander over whether to attack Iran. Reports emerged Monday that General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has been warning Trump privately about the risks of military action. According to the Washington Post, Kane told Trump during a meeting last week that US munitions stockpiles are stretched thin from supplying Israel and Ukraine, that regional allies may not cooperate, and that a campaign against Iran would be enormously complex, with a real risk of American casualties.
And Trump didn't take that well.
Not even a little. Trump fired back on Truth Social, calling the reports 100% incorrect. He claimed General Kane believes a war with Iran could be easily won and said the general only knows one thing: how to win. But here's what's remarkable. Axios reported that Kane has been the sole military figure briefing Trump on Iran for weeks. The CENTCOM commander, Admiral Brad Cooper, who actually oversees Middle East operations, reportedly hasn't been invited to meetings or spoken with Trump since January.
So the one general who is briefing Trump is apparently cautioning him, and the commander who'd actually run the operation isn't in the room.
That's what the reporting suggests. One source described Kane as a reluctant warrior on Iran, noting that he was fully on board with the Venezuela operation to apprehend Maduro, but sees the stakes with Iran as fundamentally different. Higher risk of entanglement, higher risk of casualties, and all of this is happening while the US has assembled its largest military presence in the Middle East since the start of the Iraq War. Second aircraft carrier group, additional fighter jets, expanded troop deployments. Tonight's State of the Union could be a major moment for Trump to signal his intentions.
Speaking of falling dominoes, there's another major arrest in the Epstein saga.
Peter Mandelson, former British ambassador to the United States, former EU Trade Commissioner, former cabinet minister under Tony Blair, was arrested Monday at his home in Camden, North London. The charge, suspicion of misconduct in public office. Police allege he may have passed confidential government emails to Jeffrey Epstein while serving as business secretary between 2008 and 2010, during the height of the global banking crisis.
This is the second major arrest in just 4 days, right?
It is. Last Wednesday, the former Prince Andrew was arrested on the same charge, misconduct in public office, becoming the first member of the royal family taken into police custody in modern history. Emails appeared to show Andrew sharing confidential information with Epstein while working as a British trade envoy. Now, Mandelson. Both have been released on bail. Neither has been charged yet. But the pattern is clear. British authorities are working through the Epstein files methodically, and these are not minor figures. Mandelson was one of the most powerful people in British politics for 2 decades.
And there's also been fallout in other circles. CBS, Bard College.
Right. CBS News contributor Peter Attia resigned from the network over Epstein connections that surfaced in the files. Bard College hired a law firm to investigate potential links between its president, Leon Botstein, and Epstein. The latest batch of files from the DOJ continues to send shockwaves through institutions on both sides of the Atlantic. This is not slowing down.
All right, and tonight, the State of the Union. What should people watch for?
Trump delivers his first official State of the Union of his second term tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, and the backdrop is brutal for him politically. 6 in 10 Americans say the country is worse off than a year ago. His approval rating is historically low. The Supreme Court struck down his main tariff authority last week. He's deadlocked with Democrats over DHS funding, and the midterms are in November, where historically the president's party loses an average of 27 House seats.
So, what does he need to accomplish tonight?
He needs to reframe the narrative. Expect heavy emphasis on immigration. It's his strongest card. He'll likely address tariffs, spin the Supreme Court ruling as something he's already adapting to, and watch for Iran. This speech could be where he signals whether diplomacy or force comes next. The Democratic response comes from Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger, who won her race focused on affordability and criticizing federal worker layoffs. She represents a preview of how Democrats plan to run this fall.
It's also worth noting, many Democrats are planning to skip the speech entirely.
They are, though Senator Klobuchar made the case today that Democrats should show up and present a unified front. Last year, Trump spoke for over 90 minutes, the longest joint address in at least 60 years. So, buckle up. Whether you're watching the speech, watching the markets, or watching the Epstein investigation unfold, the common thread this week is the same. The systems people trusted are being stress-tested all at once. AI is stress-testing the economy. A general is stress-testing a president's war plans. Declassified files are stress-testing the powerful. And tonight, democracy gets its annual stress test too. We'll see how it holds up. See you tomorrow.